Alright, in this video we're going to get started on putting the Holley EFI on the 57 Chevy here. We got the Terminator. Because it will control both the 4L80 and do the fuel injection. It's actually cheaper to get a whole Terminator than it is to get like a Sniper and a controller for the transmission, so we're going with that. For fairly cheap, had an intake pop up on Facebook, so I went ahead and picked that up because you can go watch Uncle Tony's Garage. He has a thing about problems with modern EFI or something like that with these aftermarket things. And it's actually the heat crossover here. So if you're going to put one of these on, you got to pull your manifold anyways to block off the heat crossover, or it'll have issues. Essentially like Cruise, like a guy I worked for before actually had this problem and didn't know about it at the time, but it's exactly what they explain on like Uncle Tony's Garage, where you just cruise along light throttle and then it wants to lean pop and everything because these put out more vapor than a carburetor. The carburetor needs that crossover to help get the liquid fuel into vapor, but when you're putting out more vapor mixture anyways, because it's pressurized so it's a finer mist, it actually vaporizes too much with the heat crossover, so you got to block it. Well, if I'm pulling it off, I don't want to put that stock heavy cast iron one back on, so that popped up eventually and got that. This is the fuel pump for the fuel injection. It's made specifically for the Mustang tank that I have in the back of here, so it should go right in. Just have to hook a couple wires up, and the regulator and everything is already done on that. And then we'll also be putting this Dakota Digital dash in, and also got the bridge module, I guess as they call it, to where I should be able to plug this into the dash along with plugging it into the Holley, to where on this little screen here I should be able to pull up any reading or whatever, or even set it to be there permanently, that the Holley ECU is seeing. So if I want fuel pressure or idle air control, like anything you can see on the Holley little screen, or if you have it plugged into the computer, I should be able to, if I understand it correctly, pull it up to where I can see it in here. I think I can even use this for the speedometer to use the speed off the 4L80 that the Holley Terminator will see. I think it'll put it into here, and then I'll be able to get my speedometer that way. I believe. I'm not positive on that yet. It's a lot of reading, and sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But on these Dakota Digitals, if you haven't looked at them before, on this center screen here, you can actually like get all kinds of these different modules. So if you have your vehicle on airbags, you can actually have it show like the airbag pressure in here. If you've got tire pressure monitoring, even though it's, say, you know, a 57, if you wanted to put tire pressure monitor on it, you could with the module and have it bring it up down in here. And boost, you can have it bring up boost in there. You can have it bring up exhaust gas temperatures. Like with the modules and stuff, you can basically make it to where you can see anything on this dash that's made to look more or less stock. I mean, it's got volts instead of amps, and it's got a tack here where the original one didn't. Well, you can see it through the window. But the printing's similar. I mean, it goes to 120 instead of 100. And the nice thing about this actually is, since I have that Ford sending unit, I can actually calibrate the fuel level gauge to work with that sender, whereas the factory one with the Ford and then the Chevy would actually show when it was full, it would say it was empty, and then when you're out of gas, it would say you had like 3/4 tank. So but that's about. And there's a bunch of other little parts in here, boxes. This is to put the 4L80 on the back of the Cadillac, which when I did it before, I just used the like 2 bolt holes that lined up, but now I'm gonna actually put an adapter in there so it's bolted on better. And yeah, we need to get to pulling the stuff apart. Alright, you can see the Holley with a couple of adapters to get on there, and then a spacer, because they claim you take these Cadillac 500s and put on a 1-inch spacer and it's supposed to add like 50 horse supposedly. I think I saw a dyno test of it years ago where it was actually pretty close, but that new aluminum manifold is actually going to probably sit up just as high or higher than it does sitting there on the spacers. And I guess we need to get to pulling it out. For quick and ease right now, we'll just pull the cotter key out. Shit. Dropped it. We'll just put that over there for now. Alright, now we got all the bolts out. Comes right off. Oh, back in mode. There we go. That's for the booster. Eventually I plan to put a 671 supercharger on here. Like, actually, I've got one off of one of the old Detroits. So instead of like buying a new one and all that, I spent like 50 or 100 bucks for it. Eventually plan on putting that on here and hoping it'll all be short enough to fit under the hood. That way you hear the whine, but you don't see it sticking out. I mean, they look nice, pretty cool sticking out usually, but I think it'd be really neat to have it under there. And I'm thinking with the distance I got, might be able to make it happen. But we'll see. Now, I got a bunch of the stuff out of the way, make it a little easier. Might pull the distributor out. We'll have to see. Probably have to, because I imagine this manifold's 200 frickin' pounds. Let's just take the cap off for now. Get it out of the way, since these wires want to keep laying over there. I'm just kind of... Let me get a zip tie. Just to hold these back. Oh, I just barely made it. But then, yeah, this thing's got all kinds of crud in here between the head and the manifold. I'm actually gonna go get my actual scraper instead of the screwdriver. So I'm gonna scrape all that off before we're gonna put this. I'll just put it up there. Before I pull the manifold, so that I'm not dropping a bunch of crap in the engine. So I'm just gonna turn the camera off for now, and then once I get all this scraped out, go ahead and turn it back on. Oh, there's so much crap in here. I figure it's an engine from '76, and I don't think it ever got washed in the car, and well, I didn't wash it when I threw it in here either. Didn't have a pressure washer. At the time, didn't really have a means to take it anywhere and wash it, so I figure it'll just stay dirty until I get everything set up the way I want it, and then at that point I plan to blow the whole truck apart and then actually paint and do body and all that stuff. But I figure get everything set first, drive it around to where that way when it's tore apart, it's not like, oh, I gotta do the engine, now I gotta do this. Once it's tore apart, it's just purely body. I'm even gonna do body work before it gets torn apart, like on fenders and stuff. Alright, I need to get a hat and take this bracket off. Oh wait, I got one right here. Haha. Now we got all the bolts out. Well, that broke loose easy. Now, can I get it out of here without destroying anything? Oh, jeez. Get another zip tie and pull those out of the way. Ah! Well, this is kind of neat. I don't know if you can see that down there. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. There we go. Okay. There's a little pin here. Shine that way, light. There we go. Little pin here and a groove in the manifold, so it's one in the back too. Kind of line up and lock it in. It's kind of neat. Never seen that before. Alright, let's get back out of here. Wrong way. Alright. So far it doesn't seem as heavy as I was expecting, but I guess we're about to... I got it on record. Find out for sure. What is... Is it hitting something? If I just get the front up. There we go. Oh, yeah, it's heavy. Ugh. Oh, wow. Whew. Well, there's that valley pan I've heard talked about and everything, so. Can you see that in there? Oh yeah, you can see it pretty good in there. Now, let's take this. A little wiping. Alright, here's the exhaust crossover I gotta block off. Well, I guess those tabs hold this in too. Oh, look at that. Doubles the gasket. Yeah, cute tiny little cam. Will feel pretty good. I mean, I've never even had the valve covers off this thing since I've had it. And once, before I pulled it out of the car it was in, I took it to a demolition derby. And I overheated it so much that the spark plug boots actually caught on fire next to the manifolds over there. Oh, I guess we can bring you down in here. So you can see what it looks like down in here. Oop. So just that little hole for oil drain back. And you can see that tiny little lobe on the cam down there. Look at that tiny little guy. Kind of makes me want to actually put a cam in it. I think it's got nothing. They look pretty good though. Alright, and I need to get all this cleaned up so I can get that other manifold on here. I might have to pull those pins out. Okay, some people don't like it, some say not to do this, but it's my favorite way to clean up gasket surfaces. Well, first let's pull these. Wow, those are crusty. Just a little brittle. No wonder there's oil leaking everywhere. I won't be putting these back on. I'll be using RTV on the china walls. So I got these gaskets from CAD company. They claim that it won't burn through at the heat crossover on a standard like street car. And they even got the thing for the little pin right there, which is nice. Help hold it up. But I'm gonna make a little metal thing to go behind it anyways, just to make sure that it won't burn through. So I'm just gonna get a can and make a cover. Making some heat crossover block offs. That pan down there, use this as a template. Trying to flatten this out. Let's get a little reverse bend there. Alright, get this one. Alright, just going to trim it up a little bit here. They're tapered a little bit so that the top can fit through the bolt holes. And then give me as much as coverage as possible. So, I'm going to put a little bit of RTV down to help this stick so it stays in place. And then RTV on the China rail is actually going to use Ultra Gray. Let me go grab it. My mistake, it's not Ultra Gray, it's the right stuff. Alright, put a little bit on here. Alright, let's see how good of a plonk I can get here. There we go. I did a test fit earlier to make sure I could, get it in and all was going to line up. But I should have tried putting the bolts in because all the bolts are really tight to the insides of the holes. So there's some that, it doesn't seem like I can even get that one in, but maybe I'll start tightening them down and going around, and hopefully as it squishes down, it moves them away from that inside wall, because otherwise I'm going to have to clean off all my RTV and essentially start over. You know what? Let's make this easier. All right. Seems like it worked out. I'm gonna go ahead and use my calibrated elbow here. That's good. I'll go ahead and put this old bracket on for now, because I don't know, it's got this switch thing for I forget what. Oh, apparently it won't fit in there. I don't think I like how tall this stud is, actually. Okay, got my shorter studs here. There we go. Alright, I know there's not a gasket on it, but for now I'm just going to plonk that on there. And then now I got to go dig through the box and dig out all the what should be like a water temperature sensor. I think that's it that I have to hook into this as a water temperature sensor. But I also need to get out the fuel inlet rail that I got for it and the sensors for that. And so I'll go dig all that out and get it all laid out. Because I actually got a sensor for the fuel pressure that goes in the fuel supply. So I got to dig that out too. And then we'll have that in there. And then I don't know, let's try something just for shits and giggles. What do you think? Let's see if I can move the light over here. So what do you think? Spacer? Oops. No spacer. I mean, I think that looks pretty good there. Sitting like that. See. That's on the intake still. Nope. Let's pop this one back on again. I don't know. I might have to see how the gasket sits with that spacer. It's really close on the edge here. It might leak. I had a problem with that before, with that spacer on that adapter. Getting it to seal properly, but I don't know. I think it looks better without it. So if I learned anything from Engine Masters, plenum volume is what it's all about. So there's more plenum volume if I do that. But yeah, I think that looks better and it'll seal better. It doesn't have... Actually, you can... Where's it at? Oh, right here you can see where I got the gaskets double stacked on this. There's two of them in there because it wanted to leak. So I think I'll just leave it off. But yeah, comment below. Tell me what you think. Alright. I think I'm going to have a can of exhaust crossover block off and dig those parts out.